Hi, everyone. This is my first time, so please be gentle. I also want to mention, too, before I get into everything, is I have epilepsy. So sometimes I might fade out in conversation for a little bit, but don't worry, I'm still here. I'm still with you. It's just I'm having a seizure. Still here. So the thing is that when I'm walking down the street, maybe I should just do this. That's better. Thing is, when I'm walking down the street, you might notice a few things about me. One, I have dyed red hair, really horrible roots. I wear glasses, and I am a woman of size. But the thing that you might not notice, because you can't see it, is that I have had a stroke. This happened to me on December 13th. It was a Saturday, and it was something that I was not expecting. I woke up in the morning, I got up, and I went for brunch with two of my girlfriends. We were celebrating my friend Ashley's birthday. It was a normal day like any other day. We ate waffles. They were delicious. I met up with my partner Simon, who's here tonight, and we went to a craft show afterwards. It was a normal day like any other Saturday. Everything felt fine. Afterwards, I was getting ready to go out. As Laura mentioned, I run the blog Fat Girl Food Squad, and I was going for a restaurant review later that night. I was getting ready to go, and like I said, I have epilepsy. And I was getting this weird feeling over my body. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but you feel a special connection to your body, and when you have this connection to your body, when you know something's wrong, you know it's really wrong. Now, I'm sure we all know the signs and symptoms of heart and stroke. You get a tingling, you get a migraine, all of these things. We've read about them on the internet. So when I was getting these symptoms that were coming over my body, I thought, oh, this is weird. This doesn't seem like this would be happening to me. But I brushed it off and I said, okay, maybe I'm having a seizure. And I'll be okay, I'll just need to have a nap. So I laid down, and I brushed it off, and I ignored it. I took a nap, I woke up a couple hours later, I was still having those symptoms. The symptoms that I were having was that I was having a really bad migraine. One half of my body was numb. I couldn't lift one half of my arm, and I was walking as if I was kind of drunk. Scary, but I didn't really know what was happening, and I thought, this seems like something only an old person could have. Not someone in their 30s, which is a very bad assumption to make. So, being the person that I was, I said, you know what, I'm just gonna go back to sleep. You shouldn't do that. They don't recommend that. And I'm telling you for future, please do not do that. Immediately call 911. So the next day, I woke up, and I was still having some of these symptoms, so I decided to call telehealth. It is a very good resource. You should use it. As I started to explain all of the symptoms that I was having, the woman on the other end said, "We are immediately sending an ambulance to your house." I said to her, "Am I having a stroke?" She said, "I cannot confirm or deny that, but we are sending an ambulance to your house." Oh, okay. So an ambulance showed up to my house roughly about 10 to 15 minutes later, and off we went. Now, this was not something that I was expecting to do on my Sunday, but there we were, dealing with it. Now, when we got to the hospital, they told me that they were going to send us for some tests and everything would be fine, and they did send us for some tests. But the test came back that I wasn't having a stroke. So it was thoroughly confusing. And from there, 2 weeks later, I would have to go for more tests. From there, I went for an MRI, an echocardiogram, and even more tests. And then they told me from there, no, you did not have a stroke. However, we do see something on here that looks like there is some imaging. It could be nothing, but we're going to send it over to a cardiologist and make sure that it actually is nothing. 2 weeks later, I get a call, and they tell me that it was a stroke. So yes, I did have a stroke. It was a very small thing called a TIA, and they didn't know what caused it. So from that day forward, I had to sort of deal with what was going on. When we originally went off to the hospital, I posted up a photo of me laying on the hospital bed with thumbs up being like, I'm at the hospital. They think I might have had a stroke. Because I kind of deal with things in a very humorous way, because I feel like sometimes that's the only way you can deal with things. When I finally got the results back saying that, yes, I actually did have a stroke, I had to learn to figure out how to deal with where we were going. And some of the people who came to me, rather than supporting me in how things were, I was met with, oh, well, you probably had a stroke because you're a woman of size. Okay. Well, I haven't gone for any of the tests yet, so I don't know why I had a stroke, but thank you for letting me and concern trolling me, because that's very great. I didn't know you were a doctor, so that's awesome. But, so, weeks and weeks, I think this was about like 5 months of doctor's appointments, blood tests, whatnot. I had to go for diabetes tests, cholesterol tests, blood tests, all sorts of tests. Nothing. I had to go see a nutritionist. I had to go for an exercise test. Every test that you could possibly imagine to find out, why did this happen? Especially for someone who's in their 30s. And all they could determine after every single test that I had gone through was that I had a hole in my heart. So I had never known about that. And it was good to know, because what the doctor then told me was that if you had had a baby and you had this hole in your heart, you probably could have died. That's good to know. I don't plan on dying anytime soon. I mean, anything could happen, but good to know. So, where do we go from here? Well, the thing is that it's been interesting to see how people react to me when I tell them that I'm someone under 30 and who's had a stroke. Oftentimes, I think people want to avoid situations because it makes them feel uncomfortable. They don't feel like they want to talk about things because it's hard to either talk about going to the doctor, talking about their health, talking about how it could affect them. It's been difficult having these conversations with people because I felt running a blog that talked about the intersections between food, fat, and feminism, that I was sort of being fraudulent to myself. Right after everything had happened, I had a really hard time with eating because I thought that maybe everything that had happened was because of me being a person of size. So it was sort of beating myself up inside. I think a lot of times we struggle within ourselves about our body and who we are and trying to accept ourselves. And that's been an internal struggle that I've had my entire life. And that's an internal struggle that I'm going through day to day. So a big thing with having this stroke and relearning to love myself and relearning to love the body that I'm in now is relearning to make myself stronger. I now realize that there's simple pleasures and simple joys that I just can't have anymore. For example, a bunch of friends invited me to go out to Canada's Wonderland. I can't do that anymore. It's not something that I can just do. A bunch of friends invited me to go out running with them. I can't do that anymore. I can't do that because with the surgery that I just had done recently, it affects my heart. So I feel like I'm trying to rediscover and relearn who I am as a person and the body that I'm in. Just about a week or two ago, as I mentioned, I had a surgery, and it was called a PFO closure, to close the hole in my heart. The doctor told me, as just before we went into the surgery, that the hole in my heart was about 3.5 to 4 millimeters large. And what he said is that this is a fairly large hole. So I guess now it's all closed. Seem to be trying to relearn what I am in my body, but the biggest thing that I want people to sort of learn from this is that day to day, anything can happen. We don't know. I woke up one morning and decided I was going to go for brunch for my girlfriend's birthday. I didn't know that less than 12 hours later, I was going to have a stroke. So you never know what your day is going to be like, and you never know, even if you have conversations with your doctor day to day, what is going on inside of you. So I think what you need to do is never make judgments about your body, other people's bodies, or what is going on, and remember to love yourself and all of yourself, no matter what.